Well, good morning and welcome to the Morning Skate Live edition of CBJ in 30 from Nationwide Arena. Bob McElligott with you. Sorry about the slight delay if you were tuned in right at the top of the hour. A couple of technical difficulties, but we got through it. Here we are and ready to go, and the Blue Jackets are getting ready in Nationwide Arena. The Blue Jackets, in doing that this evening, will be trying to snap out of a 3-game losing streak, which is something that, again, they haven't experienced this in quite a while. They had a back-to-back losing games in Toronto and then at home against the New York Rangers. Came out here on Wednesday night, had a 2-0 lead in the third period against the Montreal Canadiens, and then watched Montreal get a lot of power play opportunities and bury their chances, going on to win 3-2, scoring, again, all 3 goals in the third period of that game. Very frustrating loss for the Blue Jackets last time out. They have a chance to make up for it tonight, and they have a chance to do it against a divisional opponent in the New York Rangers. And this is a Rangers team that's going to be, they're going to be hungry, that's for sure. And they're coming into this game after being blanked in Boston last night. 3-0 was the final score in that game. So the Blue Jackets know they're going to get a hungry team tonight. They're going to get a team also that has been extremely hot in the New York Rangers. While the Blue Jackets were going 10-1-1 in the month of December, well, the Rangers were also winning a lot. And the New York Rangers come into this game tonight sitting in a pretty good position, quite frankly. They come into the game, they're in the playoff picture right now. They've been playing well enough that they have themselves a second wild card spot. They have 52 points overall at 24-13 and 4 on the season. That has them 2 points behind the Boston Bruins, who with their victory last night actually were able to creep ahead of the New York Rangers in the playoff race. But they only have a 3-point lead over the Florida Panthers and 5 ahead of the Toronto Maple Leafs coming into this game. There's Brandon Dubinsky. He is a former New York Ranger. He's always up for these games. And it looks like Brandon Dubinsky actually not only is up for this game, but he got, he wants to look better for this game too. Got a little haircut there, shaved. He's all clean cut, ready to go. Maybe turning over a new leaf here, trying to get his team to turn over a new leaf after these last 3 losses. And Brandon, you can see where he's getting healthy again, where he's back to being the old Brandon Dubinsky, which is not what he was when he first came back after his abdominal surgery. But he's strong again. He's playing well again. He's forechecking very well. He's penalty killing well. But in the last 2 games, he has taken a couple of penalties that have been frustration penalties. They've been late penalties. They've been, those penalties that you'd like to wipe off the slate, especially the one the other night against Montreal. He takes a boarding call in the third period, which leads to a Montreal power play. So for Brandon Dubinsky, this will be one of those get your wits back about you game here tonight. Play calm. But like I said, he'll be up for this game. He'll be juiced up to play against his former team here tonight. And that's what we've seen from him ever since he has joined the Blue Jackets. Maybe, unfortunately, the same will be true for guys on the other side coming here to Nationwide Arena. But the Blue Jackets, they haven't seen the Rangers for a long, long time. As a matter of fact, the last time they saw the New York Rangers was for the home opener here back in October. That was a great game with lots of drama, and the Blue Jackets, had good success against the New York Rangers. The Blue Jackets have had success against the Rangers, some decent success here in the last number of meetings with them, so that's something that they are hoping to really continue here tonight. As we take a look at the head-to-head record versus these two, the Blue Jackets 9-6-2 all-time against the Rangers, 6-4 here at home, and the Blue Jackets, as I said, they win the first game 5-2. That was the home opener that really set the tone for the season here. And the Blue Jackets had 5 players with a multi-point game in that one back in October. Again, these teams are completely different. Back in October, the Blue Jackets were missing players due to injury, and they're still missing players due to injury. But the New York Rangers were sputtering. They weren't looking like the team that went to the Stanley Cup final last year. They were looking like a team that was still trying to find its way. But they found their way. There's no doubt about that. They found it, and the Blue Jackets are now starting to get some healthy bodies back as well. But, again, still missing some key players in their lineup. As a matter of fact, let's look at the injuries, because to me, the key injuries, there are still 3 key guys that are out of the lineup for the Blue Jackets right now, and 2 of them are up front. One of them is a former Ranger, in Artem Anisimov. He's out 2 to 3 months, torn tricep. Ryan Murray, still week to week. He's been day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month forever, after only playing a handful of games this year. And Boone Jenner out with that stress fracture in his back. To me, there's 5 on the injury list. 3 of them are huge. Okay, now let me take this. You know what? The defense has been playing well enough to let me say Anisimov and Jenner, huge. Ryan Murray, very big. Brian Gibbons, Jack Skilley, support players that do carry a role. Gibbons has great speed. Hasn't been able to utilize that because of his knee. Jack Skilley with a lower body injury, out a couple of weeks. Again, this takes NHL players out of your lineup. Guys with good NHL experience, Jack Skilley, Brian Gibbons, takes them out of your lineup and forces you to make some other changes. And the Blue Jackets did make a change yesterday. They made a roster move yesterday, reaching down to Springfield of the American Hockey League and calling up Josh Anderson. Now, this is a kid that came up during training camp, and, he played well. And he kind of, I don't know if I want to say he made his mark, but he did get people's attention. Absolutely. So with Jack Skilley going on the injured reserve, Josh Anderson comes up, and they're in Springfield, played 37 games, 4 goals, 7 assists, 56 penalty minutes. What's the story on Josh Anderson? Well, he's listed at 6'3", 212 pounds. Last year with the London Knights in the Ontario Hockey League, in 59 games, he had 51 points and 81 penalty minutes. He's a guy that has continually in his junior career picked up more points year in and year out. Big body guy, goes hard to the net, all of those things. You're looking for a bottom 6 player. There's Josh up here getting ready for this game against the New York Rangers, and it looks like it's going to be a good opportunity for him. And for him, he needs to do really what the guy right next to him, Sean Collins, has been doing here over the last couple of games. Sean Collins has been up and down the last few years, and this year he came in. They basically told him, we expect a lot more from you. And Sean's been delivering more over these last number of games. He's been playing on the third line with Alexander Wenberg, and he's been forechecking well. He's been around the net. He's been doing those things. So for Josh Anderson, look no further than your former Springfield teammate Sean Collins to see how to go about your business. Now, the difference between the two of them is for Sean Collins, this is year 3 of coming up here and getting opportunities in the NHL. For Josh Anderson, this is opportunity number 1 to come in and show what you can do, and you have to show it against a very good team in the Rangers. And just take it all in. Take it all in. Don't change your game. Play your game. That's all you've got to do. So Blue Jackets get set and get ready here to take on the Rangers, doing a little special teams work right now. Blue Jackets working on the power play. A power play that has been very good. The power play has been good. The penalty kill has been suspect as of late. And it really is a shame because the penalty kill was also a very big part of what the Blue Jackets were doing well, not only in the month of December, but you even carried into the early part of January into the 4-game road trip. But a couple of notes on what's going on. The power play back to number 2 in the National Hockey League, converting at 25% on the season. The defenseman really stepping in. On a team that's getting very limited shots toward the net and getting limited goals right now, the defenseman stepping up and I don't want to say outperforming the forwards, but look at this. They've scored almost half the goals, 9 of the last 21 goals, as a matter of fact. The Blue Jackets have scored on their first shot in each of the last 3 games. The other night they had 1 goal on 1 shot for quite a while, to be honest, against the Montreal Canadiens. When you're only getting 12, 15, 20 shots a game, first of all, that number is way too low. You've got to increase that number without question. Number 2, if you're only going to get that many shots, that limited number of shots, then you've got to do this. You've got to score on the bulk of the shots. Your shooting percentage has to be through the roof, and they're doing that on the first shot of the game. They're 3rd in the league in team hits, and team hits is such a double-edged sword type of stat, if you ask me, because here's the double edge. Number 1, you're hitting, so you're being physical. This is a team that prides itself on being physical. They want to do that, so that's a good thing. However, on the other side, many times, if you have a lot of hits, means that you don't have a lot of puck possession. You don't have the puck on your stick, so you can't, you're not making plays. You're delivering hits instead of making plays. So that is that's why it's a double-edged sword to me, those hit stats. It's great because you want to be a physical team, but if you don't have the puck and you're not carrying the puck, then you're delivering hits and giving the body instead. So the puck possession thing, and again, this goes into the kind of the new age stats and the Corsi stats and all that, but the puck percentage numbers, I think the last game the Blue Jackets possessed the puck 41% of the time, which means that, well, do the math, 49% of the time they didn't have the puck on their stick. So they've got to control it more. They've got to break out of their own zone. They broke out pretty well against the Montreal Canadiens, but what they didn't do is get into the Montreal zone set up at 5-on-5. Set up, get some pressure, continue that pressure. I think I can remember 2 instances during that game where that happened, and it was electrifying both times, because then the crowd gets behind you. They see that you're wearing down the other team inside of their own zone. They're seeing the battles that you're going through just to be able to keep that puck in there. And it really, those things feed off one another. But they've got to do a better job of getting in and forechecking. And for a team that prides itself on forechecking, they've just got to do it more. They've got to do it more, and probably to an extent they have to do it a little bit smarter than they have been in the last couple of games. And they've got to control. They look, to an extent, I don't know if this is fair to say, but, to an extent they look kind of nervous, even in that game against Montreal. It's a 1-0 lead. They're basically controlling what's going on, but yet I haven't seen that really sense of confidence, and that's something we saw a lot during December. You could see a team that knew it was going to win no matter what. Now all of a sudden you have a couple of games that go sour on you, and you lose by lopsided margins, and then you get into a game where it's 1-0, you're playing at home, and instead of that exuding that same confidence, it almost seemed like there was a little bit of nervousness there. And when there's nervousness, it really puts this guy on the defensive and puts a whole lot of work on his plate, and that's Sergei Bobrovsky. And, the amount of saves, the type of saves, I think in these last few games, he's always there to bail them out. But there are times where you've got to say, listen, he's bailed us out enough, and we have got to pick it up, and we've got to play a game for him. We've got to give him a 4 or 5 goal performance tonight. Let's make his night easy tonight. Let's forecheck. Let's keep the puck in the other end a lot. Let's get 4 or 5 goals. Let's let him sit back there and pick up a W just by, kind of being there. And that doesn't happen with this team for whatever reason. He very seldom gets a night off. And, he's sometimes even in those games that you're winning 4-2 with an empty net goal, he's facing somewhere in the neighborhood 40, 45 shots. So it would be nice if they could find a way to ease the workload on him just a little bit. And speaking of workload, there's going to be a lot leading into the All-Star break, because tonight's game is the first of a back-to-back. Tonight, after the game, the Blue Jackets immediately head to Boston, where they will take on the Bruins tomorrow. I just told you a little bit ago that the Bruins are ahead of the Rangers. They have that first wild card spot coming into play tonight. So that'll be a tough game tomorrow. You move on to Minnesota, where you've got a Wild team that has been abysmal, that is trying to figure things out, and they're playing at home. So, maybe they do figure things out at home. And then you finish off before the All-Star break going into Winnipeg to take on a Jets team that has been a very much improved Winnipeg Jets team. So this 4-game stretch is not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination for the Blue Jackets. They have to take it one game at a time. They know that, but with the 4 games and only one of them being at home, this one tonight, that puts even more importance on this one. And you couple that with it being the New York Rangers, a team that you are chasing within your own division. You've got to figure it out. You've got to find a way, very simply. During December, the Blue Jackets go on that great run. They pick up almost nothing in the way of points because the Rangers are playing so well. The Capitals are playing so well. And, they've got to do it again. They've got to go on another run. They've got to start stringing wins together. And Nick Foligno having a career season. He's going to be a captain of one of the All-Star teams here in the game that's going to be played in 10 days here at Nationwide Arena. So it's been a great season for him, but Nick will be the first one to tell you all the personal accolades are great. Being an All-Star is great, all that stuff. But on the same token, he wants his team to win. He wants to be a winner. He wants his team to be successful, and that's the first focus for Nick Foligno. As head coach Todd Richards will call everybody in here and mill around. And in fact, some are going to start to head off this morning, so that's pretty much going to be the beginning of the end of the morning skate. Scott Hartnell, Brandon Dubinsky heading back the hallway. We'll hear from head coach Todd Richards coming up in just a bit, and Cam Atkinson going to join me. Cam, it's always a big game for Cam when he gets a chance to play against his hometown team, the New York Rangers, here tonight. He's always up for these kind of games against the Rangers. So we'll talk to Cam as well here this morning on the Morning Skate Live edition of CBJ in 30. As we do on the show all the time, though, take your tweets and your questions that you might have. And let's just start the day off with a bang. Dennis Kelly II, who always has these thought-provoking questions, sends this one today. He says, is torture the answer to the lack of shots on goal? For example, if you have 0 shots on goal in a game, you lose a finger. Dennis, I don't know what I don't know what you were watching last night before you went to bed, or what kind of dreams you had last night, but that's a little extreme, isn't it? I mean, you're not even going to start with something, something under the fingernails. You're just going right for the finger. All I can say is this: if that's the direction that you're going to go, it would probably keep the guys from gripping the stick too tight, right? More fingers you lose, the less you can grip the stick too tight. So, no, I do not condone it, for crying out loud. I know it's a funny question, so I try to give you a thought-provoking and smart-alecky answer on that. What else do we have here? Tim Chorty says, as we close in on the halfway point of the season, do you think that the team will push Nathan Horton on a decision as a deadline closes in? I don't think there's any pushing of Nathan Horton. His situation with his back has been the same throughout the entire year. It started in the summer. He's continued to rehab. He's continued to work. He's continued to try to get himself to where he can walk in comfort, sit in comfort, let alone play hockey in comfort. There's no pushing. And as far as a decision goes, you can put him on a long-term injured reserve. You don't need to. I mean, really, what other decision do you have to make besides that? He can either play or he can't play. He doesn't have to decide to have the surgery. If he decides to have surgery, it's likely the end of his career. So you don't. He's not ready to make that kind of decision. The organization isn't ready for him to make that kind of decision, and so you just. I don't think there's a decision to be made. The only thing is, after the 41 games, you can put him on the long-term injured reserve, or you can get the salary cap relief, I guess, is what it is after the halfway point of the season. You don't have to push him. Cody Golubev, along with Craig Hartsburg, Blue Jackets associate coach, and Jordan Leopold over there as well, having a little discussion over on the far wall. Golubev has been a guy that's been in and out of the lineup. He's been interchanged with Dalton Prout here over the last couple of games. It's one of those situations for both Cody and Dalton. When you get a chance to play, I don't know if you feel like you have to play a perfect game, but you know that you have to be good, or you risk getting taken out of the lineup, or maybe you get taken out based on the opponent from the next day. Right at center ice, Dalton Prout doing some passing, and it happens to be with Ryan Murray, which, again, is a good sign. Ryan Murray's back out here. He's joined these practices. He's out for the morning skate. He's doing all these things. So hopefully he gets back into the lineup soon. That would boost the blue line even more for the Blue Jackets. But, Dalton Prout, I talked to him while we were on the road in Toronto. I talked to him about being a healthy scratch. And it's so funny how things change from one year to the next, because the mindset is completely different. When we went to Detroit early in the year, and Dalton is from Windsor, Ontario, which is right across the river, and he had gotten scratched in Detroit. The only time the Blue Jackets were going to go to Detroit last year, he had friends and family coming over. He got healthy scratched. And, he told me, he said, I thought it was the end of the world. I thought I was getting sent back to the minors. I didn't have any idea what was going on. And, I thought I'd blown my opportunity and my chance was over. And then when I talked to him in Toronto just last week on the road trip, he was frustrated about not playing, but he gets it now. He understands it. He understands the process and why you're in, why you're out, what you have to do to stay in on a daily basis. So it's a maturation process, really. As guys get older, they mature. It's as simple as that, and that's what you want out of your players, is to understand and continue to get better day in and day out. Blue Jackets and the New York Rangers tonight from here at Nationwide Arena. Again, second meeting of the year between these two teams. I'm joined by head coach Todd Richards right now. And, Todd, as far as your lineup goes tonight, any tweaks that you might make from the game on Wednesday against Montreal?
There's going to be some tweaks. Right now we're unsure. We're missing Matty Calvert this morning. Call up Josh Anderson. Matty's not feeling great. And then we shuffled the lines around a little bit.
Josh Anderson, you got to see him in the preseason this year, and he's been playing in Springfield. What are the reports that you got from Springfield? And if you think back to September, what did you like about him?
Oh, big and strong, and a good skater for having that size. When he went down to Springfield to begin with, struggling with his game, which a lot of the young guys do. Sometimes I think it's going to come easy, that jump from junior, and you get a little bit of taste of maybe exhibition games, and you have some success. And I think when you end up getting reassigned, you think that going down, it's going to be an easier game. It's not an easier game. It's a great league, a lot of great players down there. And you'll see that some slow starts, and I think it was a slow start. But everything that I've heard as of late is he's playing his game, big, strong, physical force out on the ice.
Another guy that came up recently, and you and I talked about him on a road trip, is Sean Collins. And you told me when you first put him into a game against Colorado that basically he's been told that, hey, it's time to put up. You've been in this organization a couple of years. We feel that you have more to give. Do you feel that he's been giving more in these last couple of games?
You know what? He has. He's played with size, played with some speed, done some good things. But again, he's got to keep pushing. The last couple of games, maybe he's leveled off a little bit. We still need to see more and expect more from Sean.
On the blue line tonight, does Dalton Prout draw back in?
Dalton Prout does. Cody Golobuff will be out.
When you're making those decisions, those two guys, they're two different kind of players. Are you looking at it based on their last performance, or is it the opponent, or a combination of the two?
A combination of two, usually. You're looking at your opponent and who they play, but a lot of it's based off of how guys have played. And, Dalton, and we've probably got more history with him just being up here and playing for us. And Cody, we know a little bit because he's been in our system. And Brad Larson knows him really well because he had them pretty much all of last season down there. Both guys have, when they've come in, they've had their stretches where they've both been good. But we're looking for that consistency.
Tonight, the New York Rangers come in here. They were shut out by the Boston Bruins last night. Does that make them a hungrier team tonight?
Well, it makes them hungry. Actually, they've been shut out 2 games in a row. I believe it's 2 games in a row. The Islanders beat them 3-0 at home. They go into Boston, lose 3-0. I don't know if there was a game in between. I don't believe there was.
No, you're right. They've given up 6 goals and scored none.
So it's going to be a hungry team, and they're a team that has won. They proved it last season, making a great run to the finals against LA. Obviously, where they're sitting right now in the standings, they've had success this year too. And you go back and you look at the clips and you see how this team is playing. They got, especially on their left side, some great speed. Kreider and Hagelin, and they can get up and down the ice, so they can be dangerous that way. Their power play, you look at the groups that they have, and talented players up front and on the back end.
You always talk about some teams being easy to get up for to play when you go head-to-head. The Rangers seem to be one of those teams for your team. Of course, you have a lot of guys that played there before, and that factors into it, I know. But you've got the Rangers tonight. You're in Boston to play tomorrow night. Do you see these as 2 of those games where, as far as motivating, it shouldn't be that much it has to come from you. It should come from within because of the caliber of the teams?
Where we're at right now in our season, we're halfway through, and the expectations that everybody had coming in, it's been disappointing. So just based on standings alone, and I think how we've played, especially the last 2-3 games, 2-0 lead against Montreal, and coming down the stretch, we didn't do the right things, didn't manage the game, undisciplined. So it leaves you with a disappointing feeling. So there's that motivation about going out and playing a 60-minute game and doing the right things for 60 minutes. There's also playing the Rangers and the history that some of our players have, and obviously some of their players have, coming in here and playing against each other. First game of the year, early on, there was some emotion, and that goes back, I think, to last year and the last game that we played in this building versus the Rangers. So there's a lot of different factors.
Todd, thank you. Good luck tonight.
All right, thanks, Bobby.
That is head coach Todd Richards talking to us on the Morning Skate Live edition of CBJ in 30 today. You heard him say there'll be some lineup changes tonight. There'll be some tweaking of the lines. Matt Calvert may not play tonight. If he doesn't, Josh Anderson is going to draw into the lineup for the first time this year, and Dalton Prout will go back in replacing Cody Golobuff on the blue line. And no surprise, all I've got to do is look down to my left here. Curtis McElhaney is still in net, and that means that Sergei Bobrovsky is going to make the start against the New York Rangers here tonight. So that is, when you talk about the changing of the lines and changing the personnel, of course, you're looking to generate offense. You're looking to generate chances, and that's something the Blue Jackets, again, as we talked about earlier in the show, haven't been able to do enough of here recently. They haven't generated enough chances. Generating shots is one thing. Generating chances is a whole different ball of wax. And I think they're lacking in both of those areas right now. That's where they've got to pick it up. That's where they've got to find a way to get more out of themselves and get more pressure. And especially against this New York Rangers team, doesn't matter who they put in goal. It's going to be, it doesn't matter who's in goal if you can't get the puck to the net. It doesn't matter. You could have an empty net down there if a team can't get its shots through, if the shots are getting blocked, if you're missing the net, hitting the glass. You can play with an empty net on the other side and lose the game. So you've got to find a way to get it there. You've got to get traffic, all of those things. And when the Blue Jackets are having success, they're doing just that. They're forechecking well. They are finishing their checks. They're delivering hits. They are screening the goalie. They're getting the tips, just like any team in this league. I mean, that's the game. That's the way that the game is played now. Everything is about screens and deflections and redirections. And you don't get that many goals like Ryan Johansson's on the power play the other night, which is just a beauty from the circle into the upper left-hand corner. Really, if you go and look at it, those goals are kind of few and far between because what you have is a lot of junk in front of the net, and the puck winds up getting by the goalie. Simple as that. Frederick Cairo II says, do you think the coach is trying to send the team a message by mixing the lines? Well, yeah, and the message is what we're doing is not good enough. The way things are, the combinations that are going on right now, it's just not good enough. And as much as you like to get comfortable with your line mates, and if you go beyond the first line, which is Ryan Johansson, Scott Hartnell, and Nick Foligno, after that, tell me where – I mean, beyond keeping those three together, you can make that argument. They should stay together. They're generating chances. They're generating goals. After that, is there any reason to keep together the combinations that you have? No, I don't think so, because – that's your line. That's your scoring line right now, and the other three are struggling in that department. So, yeah, he's sending a message. The message is this isn't good enough. We're going to scramble the eggs. We're going to see if we can come up with a better dish at the end of the day. And that's simply where they're going tonight. That's the direction he's going in tonight, to see what he can get out of that. And everybody knows it. As players, you know. I mean, there's no question that you're you know when things aren't working well for your line or for you or what have you, and you know that the change is going to come. And it's coming tonight. Mark Letestu standing in front of the net. He's now going to vacate that, and Alexander Wenberg steps in, practicing tipping shots from the top of the crease. And again, what I was just talking about is today's game, redirection. It's about, finding ways to tip pucks and get the goalie moving the wrong way. And as simple as that. So they practice it. It doesn't just come naturally. Well, some of it kind of comes naturally, but beyond that, let's see. Nate Bjorkner says, despite being a veteran leader, Jared Bowl seems to be just a bowling ball. I don't know what that means. Is it time to let go? He's not having a good season, Jared Bowl. Let's be honest about it. He's not having the season that he wants to have. He's not having the season the team wants him to have. But as I said yesterday on this show, he is the longest tenured Blue Jacket. I bet that you think that means absolutely nothing, and he shouldn't get any kind of credit for that whatsoever. It's all about how you play on an everyday basis, and I get that. I understand that. However, there is something to say for the fact that, this guy is – I just don't think that he's had the same opportunities this year as he's had before. And, again, the fourth line is the one line that has changed tremendously from last season to this season. And you look at the fourth line last year. There's Jared Bowl still out on the ice working on things. And again, a veteran player like him, he could just walk off the ice at the beginning of the, as soon as the major drills are done, he could beat it. Just leave. He can do that. He has that right as a veteran player. And what's he doing instead? He's still out here. He's still working. And that's the thing about it. I think it's very easy to say he's not performing well. Should he be scratched? Should he not play? Has his time come and gone? But look, right there. I mean, if the guy didn't care, if the guy wasn't trying to get better each and every day, that would be a very easy decision. This guy's still giving everything he has every time he's out there in practice and in the game. And, of course, he really gets into a spotlight the other night when he takes a high-sticking penalty late in the third period and it results in another goal against. I understand all of that. But you also understand that his line has changed the most dramatically from last year to this year. There was consistency last year with his line when you had Derek McKenzie playing in the middle. The other side was either Blake Como or Corey Trupp for the most part throughout the course of the season. There was chemistry. There was that working together. This year, you know what the one constant has been on the fourth line? That guy, Jared Bowl. That's been the only constant. Everything else has changed. Michael Chaput, young player trying to adjust to playing a fourth-line role in the National Hockey League, is playing there. A guy like Jared Bowl needs some help from his line mates, and especially from his centerman. And that help is get the puck deep, let him get in there and bang bodies around. He was doing that the other night against Montreal. And no surprise that that's happening now because he's got Mark Letestu as a centerman who is a veteran guy who understands what he has to do to help Jared Bowl be the player that he can play. Again, it's I know I make it sound simpler than maybe you think it is, but you've got to have that. Jared's got a skill set that, he's not a dangler. He's not going to finesse you to death. You have to put him into position where he can go in, use his physicality, get the puck, make passes, and then you've got to be in the right place too. And that's the other thing about being a centerman. And Derek McKenzie was great at this. Derek McKenzie was great at putting the puck into a position where he knew Jared could go and get it, and then for Derek to get into a position where he knew Jared would give it to him. And they click so well like that. And that has changed. That component has changed. There has not been consistency and or continuity on that fourth line throughout the course of the year. So as much as I will totally agree with you, Jared Bowl is having a disappointing season. I'm sure Jared Bowl would tell you he's having a disappointing season. But I'm also telling you there are more factors than just a guy all of a sudden out of nowhere is washed up and he can't play. I don't think that's the case whatsoever. I think it's a case of a guy in the midst of a bad season. And let me ask you this question, too. I will throw a question at you. If you were going to put Jared Bowl in the press box and you're going to scratch him, explain to me who you're going to put there in his place. Who would you put there? And before you say anybody, I want you to really think about it. Really take a couple of minutes and think about who you would put in that slot. As this team is right now, today, right now, with the injuries that this team has, who would you put in there? Think about that one as I kick it back to you on the question as well. So Blue Jackets starting to wrap up this morning's skate here today as they get ready to take on the Rangers tonight. Joined right now by Cam Atkinson. And Cam, these usually are exciting games for you, aren't they, to play against the New York Rangers, a team you spent your youth watching as you grew up, and now you get a chance to step on the ice and play against them?
Yeah, it's always fun playing these guys. They're my favorite team growing up. Went to a lot of Rangers games. So it's pretty cool to play against them, but obviously we need these 2 points bad, and we're going to do whatever it takes.
Did you have a welcome to the NHL moment with this team, being that starstruck kid that is lining up against the New York Rangers? Did that happen to you early on?
Yeah, first time I played at the Garden a couple of years back, it was kind of, I feel like I knew everyone in the stands. But luckily I think I got a point on the first shift. Calvi went down and scored, so it kind of settled the nerves down a little bit. But, just to look around at the Garden, it's very special. There's a reason why they call it the most famous arena in the world, and it's a very cool place to play.
Well, and you're going to get there at some point this year. You get the Rangers for only the second time. Both times have been here at Nationwide Arena, but you also have a pretty good bond with, at least one guy on this team as well. So you have some former college teammates who you're playing against here. Any kind of personal rivalry that goes on? Not that you're thinking about it necessarily during the game, but any talk afterwards if you happen to have a better night than they do?
I guess there's always bragging rights after the game, but I have a lot of good buddies on this team. I still talk to them to this day. So as soon as the puck drops, it's all business. But after the game, we'll have some laughs and obviously, like I said, bragging rights.
Well, you look at guys like Kreider and Hagelin. They're quick guys, good hands. Much like you, they play a similar type of game. This is one of those games when you face those kind of forwards. When you talk about defense, it's not just the guys on the blue line. It's got to be team defense tonight. As a forward with defensive responsibilities, how do you help and slow them down? Yeah,
they have a lot of offensive weapons, a lot of fast guys, and their D like to join the rush. We're the same. I feel like we just got to stay out of the box and play to our systems, and eliminate their chances and just get in front of their forwards when they're getting some speed. But just stick to the game plan and we'll have success.
All right. Now you talked about staying out of the box, and you're right. And the last game is a prime example. But beyond that, what's going on with the other facets of the game? Because it seemed like you were in a mode there where you guys were forechecking, you were doing all those things that has made you successful the last couple of years, and now it hasn't totally disappeared, but the consistency hasn't seemed the same. Any idea what's going on there?
I think we just need to get back to the basics. We also need to get some secondary scoring, including myself. I haven't scored in a lot of games, and I take pride in scoring goals. And we can't have just one line going, doing all the offense. We need everyone contributing. And yeah, we've had some guys step up on the D side, and Bob keeps us in every games. But we just gotta, like I said, stick to the basics, get to the hard areas to score these greasy goals, and just get back to having fun.
Yeah, and the shot totals have been low in a couple of games here, and that's one thing. But shot chances, the shots don't always tell the story, but the scoring chances, I think, have kind of diminished as well here. And so you talk about scoring those greasy goals and getting into those positions. If you do all of that, does that solve those other problems? Shots come up, scoring chances come up?
Oh, for sure. When you're doing the right things in the defensive zone, it's going to lead to offensive zone time, and just working hard, and that's really all you can control. Getting in front of obviously tonight we're playing against one of the best goalies in the world, so get in front of his eyes and get to the top of the paint and just be in the right areas to pounce on the rebounds, and we just got to get more shots through and just pounce on our opportunities.
Well, Cam, thank you very much. I wish you nothing but the best tonight.
Thank you.
Cam Atkinson talking to us on the Morning Skate Live edition of CBJ in 30 here today. Morning Skate wrapping up. Blue Jackets and the New York Rangers getting set to go head-to-head tonight. 7 o'clock start here at Nationwide Arena. And if you can't join us for the game in person, you can listen to it on the Scioto Downs Blue Jackets radio network, starting with pregame coverage at 6:45, or you can watch it on Fox Sports Ohio as well. Blue Jackets and the Rangers' final home game before the NHL All-Star break. The Blue Jackets will hit the road to play in Boston tomorrow. They'll be in Minnesota on Monday and then in Winnipeg on Wednesday. That all leads up to next weekend when the stars of the world will show up here as the NHL will hold the All-Star game here at Nationwide Arena. The Honda NHL All-Star game coming up on January 25th. But it's All-Star weekend. And speaking of that, today, actually, the Scotts Miracle-Gro Outdoor Rink, which is across Nationwide Boulevard, is going to open to the public. There will be public skating going on out there. There will also be some youth teams to be playing and all that stuff, but plenty of public skating sessions. A lot of the reason that rink is there is for you to come out and enjoy. You can skate downtown amongst the buildings. Yesterday, there was an opportunity to do a little bit of that. It was a beautiful day, and you should take advantage of that. You don't have to know how to skate. You don't have to be a good skater. All you have to do is be able to stand and don't fall and get run over. That's all. Simple as that. Come out and enjoy it. The outdoor rink, one of many things going on at the All-Star Winter Park that is going to be happening next weekend. But the outdoor rink opens today for public skating sessions. You want to find out more, go to bluejackets.com/all-star. That'll tell you everything that's going on. The snow slide will be showing up later in the week that will shut down Nationwide Boulevard. It'll be put right there. There's a 5K race next weekend. Just a lot of events going on surrounding the All-Star Game, and the NHL Fanfare also going to be happening next weekend at the Convention Center. Again, bluejackets.com/all-star. That's where you get all the information that you need. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. And trust me when I tell you this, the world will be watching. They will be looking at this city, and they will see what a great hockey town Columbus, Ohio is. No doubt about that. All right, that'll do it for the Morning Skate Live edition of CBJ in 30. Thank you for being here. I'm Bob McElligott. Talk to you tonight when the Blue Jackets take on the Rangers. Jackets TV, presented by Ohio Health.